In this video, I'm going to show you how to create UISlider, which will work like this. It will have a minimum value label and a maximum value label. And as you slide, the status label will update with current status or current value of UISlider. Also, there's little other detail. The minimum value slider background will be of a different color. I'll show you how to change this color from its default to a different, like for example, red color. Very simple example, so let's go ahead and create it. I will create a single view application and I will call it my new UI slider example. I'll go straight to the main storyboard and we'll use the default view controller. I will resize it to iPhone 4-inch. Okay, and the first thing that I want to create is minimum value label. URL label. Okay, so that will be for minimum value. I'll set it to 0 and I'll change background color to blue. And the text to white. And I will need one for maximum value. So maximum value will be 10. Color white. Background blue. And I need UISlider. I'll grab the slider, position it here. As you see, the default slider color is blue, so I can change that. I can select the slider and go for minimum truck tint color, and I can send it to a different color, for example red, and it updates. So the slider has a minimum value, which is on the left side, and maximum value, which is on the right side. So for example, I set my slider like label value to 10. This is because I want maximum value to be 10. And when your slider is selected, you want to increase the maximum value up to 10. Okay, now the maximum value is 10 and the current value is set to 0.5. I can set it to something like 2, and it's a good idea actually, because if you don't set current value, if you keep it left, for example, user might not realize that it is a slider. Like some novice users might not figure out that they need to slide this thumb. So it's good to show them that it's a slider and they can grab and drag it to change the value. Another thing that I want to show you is this thumb tint color. So you can change it to a different one. Now it's white. I can change it to blue, and it's looking good. Back to slider, this minimum and maximum image are sometimes very useful. Like in my example, I used a label on the left side and label on the right side, but you can actually have something like nicely designed image which will appear on the left side of your slider, and for the maximum image it will appear on the right side of your slider. Okay, so one more label we need. This is for this is for our status, which will we will display slider current value in this label. So I will also set to 0 and have a different color like orange and different background color for it, like black. 0. Okay, and I will position it on the left. One last thing that I like to do is I like to reset constraints to default suggested ones. Okay, and now we are ready to connect our interface elements to Swift file. So what I will do, I will click on the minimum value label and create an IB outlet for it, and I will call it minimum value label. And I will create one for maximum value label. And I will create an IB outlet for my slider. I'll call it my slider. And I will create an IB outlet for status label. Slider current status label. Okay. And next thing that I want to do is I want to create an action for my slider, because when slider changes value, I want it to trigger a function. So I'll create a connection type of action, and for the name I'll call it my slider value changed, and for the type I will change it to UISlider. Okay, connect. So now when user changes the value of the slider, if they slide to the right side, for example, this function should be called. And what I will do in this code, I will grab the slider current value and I will assign it to a variable. Let's say my slider current value equals value, and I need it of, because I'm going to assign it to a label, so I need it of type string equals. So in this case, sender will be UISlider. So I will go to sender and I'll grab the value. So the value here is going to be of type float. So first of all, I want it to be an integer because my labels are integer. So I will cast it to an integer value. And because I'm assigning it to a string value, I want it to be a string value. Something like this. Okay, now when I have current slider value, I can assign it to slider current status label. So I will grab the status label and say text equals to my slider current value. Very good. So let's run this example and see how it works now. I'll choose iPhone 5, run. Okay, we have a slider, and if I drop the value from 0 to 10, I see that the status label updates to slider current value. Very nice. I don't actually need the minimum value label and maximum value label IB outlets, but they don't hurt. Let them be here, so I won't delete them now. The next thing that I'm going to show you is when application starts, the slider value is set to 2, but our current status label is not updated. It's 0. So that's not correct. It starts updating only when I start sliding. So what I can do, I can change its value in view.load, but maybe in our case we need the value to be set or updated every time when the view loads. So I will override function called view will appear. Super view will appear. animated. Yes, and here I will do just the same thing. Or I can actually no, yeah, in this case, because I don't have sender available to me, I need to use my slider value. So now when view just about to appear, this code will be executed and we will grab the slider current value, which is supposed to be set to 2, and then we will update the slider current status label with the new value. So let's see how it works. Very good. The view is loaded, and when it appears, our label value is changed to slider current value, and now it works. And as you see, as soon as I start dragging the slider, my status label updates right away. This is because the slider sends continuous updates to this slider value change function. We can change that. For example, if I open my now right side panel, select slider only, select slider, and in this slider events, you see this continuous updates checkbox is checked. So if I uncheck this checkbox, slider will send events to our function only when I stop sliding. Sometimes it is useful. So now when I start dragging, the value is not updated, and the function will be triggered only when I stopped sliding. For example, now you see, as soon as I release my thumb from the slider thumb, it starts the label updates. This is it. I think it's very simple but very useful example, and once your label is updated, once you have the value of your slider, you can do whatever you want. You can store it in your database, you can set it to a server side, you can do some business logic. I hope this example was helpful, and if for some reason it's not, send me a message and I will try to help you out as soon as I can.